a lot of people watched it, but nobody's watching day to day, all day, unless you're me and just love this stuff. Procedures are okay, but we want to know, where do you stand? And so I think the more that politicians stop trying to be politicians and be people, then that will engage voters.
We reject alternative facts, so come on in here and let me educate you on the facts. Welcome, everyone. I am super excited that you are all here and are joining me for this episode of our daily political brief here on The Q with Q. Now, as I shared with you all on my social media earlier, you know that I am not in the country right now. Baby, I had to go take me a little break. Had to go, get me some rest and relaxation. Right now, I am in Cabo, Mexico. However, I still had to come through and work. We still have to be updated. And so I told you all, for the next 2 weeks specifically, all of the political content will be right here on YouTube. We're also streaming on Facebook, for the most part, right here on YouTube. And I just want to thank you all and welcome you all to the show. Just some ground rules. You definitely in the comments, put what you feel. We here are talking about, or we here love dissent, not disrespect, right? So you feel how you feel. If you have an opinion, baby, state that thing. State your opinion, but we want to do it in a respectful way. If things get heated and passions get ablaze, that is okay as well. But we definitely want to stay away from harmful language or disrespectful language. So definitely thank you all so much for joining me. To the people that are listening on the podcast, thank you so much. For the people that are watching on Patreon, thank you so much. And let's get into some things. Also, if you're streaming on YouTube, there is a function that you all can use that pours into me, if you will. There's a function called a super chat and super stickers. So look down there. If you send some super stickers, we'll shout you out. If you send a super chat, your comment will be posted right here on the screen for everyone to see, and we'll talk through that thing. So I thank you. A lot of you all already super chat and super sticker me when we do this, and so it's always great to see that come in, and I love seeing that. Thank you so much. So let's get into the show tonight. Okay, we're going to be about 30-45 minutes because I hear some drums or rum-a-tum-tumming outside of my room. And I'm like, what is that? Are they having a sombrero down here in Cabo? I don't know what we're doing. So I'm super excited to find out what's going on outside of my room. But we're going to talk here. So we got our first super comment. Thank you so much. You are the best. I love you all. Thank you so much. So the first thing I really want to talk about is, should we reconcile with Trump supporters? I saw a video over the weekend from Jamel Hill, who literally went left, right? And Sis is sick of it. Sis is sick of the hate mail. Sis is sick of, people targeting her. People have been targeting her. She's a Black woman ever since she called the president racist. Those statements have proved to be true, but she discussed how she gets death threats and hate mail. And I saw some other Black journalists or some other Black professionals in the media kind of talk about that as well and be on this bandwagon, not bandwagon, because that diminishes what they're saying. Be behind this idea that no, ain't no reconciliation. We ain't got time for that. And I really thought about that today. I really did as I was working out. And it for me, I am not a person that is not up for reconciliation, right? I am a person that always, or not always, this is more of a new phenomenon when I started following Christ, but leaving the door open to that. And I want to walk through what I mean by that, because I think a lot of times when we talk about reconciliation and when we talk about forgiveness and when we talk about coming together, sometimes the onus is always put on the offended instead of the offender. And so I want to be very specific and very clear how I feel about this. And I wanted to use an analogy, like if we're in a relationship, right? Like if I'm dating someone and I offend them and I continue to offend them, or I continue to do something that hurts them, that they told me about, and I continue to do it, what is that relationship going to be like? If I'm the offender, can I realistically expect that other person that I'm dating is just gonna be like, well, all right, it is what it is. No, we don't need to talk about it. Just cool. Keep hurting me, right? Like that's not a real thing. Now there are some relationships like that. We're not talking about those. Okay, we definitely praying for them people, but we're not talking about those. But in that type of situation, whether it's a friendship, you're dating, and your family, if someone has offended you, then the onus is on the offender to make peace with the offended. And for the offended to be in a space to be able to hear that. Now, everyone processes and moves differently. We also can't tell people who have been offended, who have been hurt, when their offense should be over. So I'm not on the side of to where, we shouldn't make peace with Trump supporters, because that's where that video was coming from. The Jamel Hill did. Where she was basically like, no man Pam, I'm not having it. I'm not there. But one, I'm gonna need some time. Like the election just happened yesterday. Y'all, a lot of y'all was just in the street this weekend, like rooting and hollering and saying the election was stolen and carrying on and still pushing out alternative facts and propaganda and hate speech, right? So I'm gonna need some time, but I'm also not gonna close the door. But I also need you who have done the damage to recognize that you're the one that did the damage. You are the one that stewed in hate. You are the one that made it dangerous for people that look like me to keep moving around, and other folks too, right? Other disadvantaged groups. So I need the offender to understand that they are the offender. And then we can see how we move forward, because I don't have all the answers. I really don't. I don't have all the answers, but I'm also not going to close the door to it. But I do think that we need not to put the entire onus on the people who have been hurt, the people that have been abused, the people that have been locked in cages or banned because of their religion or targeted because of their skin color. Like, that onus should not be on those people. And we have to give those people, and I'm one of those people that have been offended, that have been hurt, space to process that. But again, for me and my house, I'm not going to close the door to it. So I am open to it. So I definitely wanted to put that out there. We got a super comment from JLC87 Productions that says, depends on how far they went with the disrespect. It's okay to disagree, but once it becomes disrespect, peace sign emoji. Hey, that's how you feel. And that's valid, right? And that's valid. I just think that we do definitely need to put that onus on the offender, and those that have been offended willingly come to the table. So now that I said that, let's move on to what actually happened today. Baby, did y'all see Biden down there on that press conference? Now, Biden had him a little press conference earlier today. He's looking strong. He's looking presidential. He did mention that he is still not getting presidential briefings and access to classified information and access to things that he is going to need to start a transition. But he did. I like the moment when he turned to Kamala and he said something to the effect of, my colleague is still on the Intelligence Committee, so she gets the briefings, because you all know she is still a sitting senator, and she's on that committee, so she gets those intelligence briefings, as do other senators. So, she got the info, but he's saying he doesn't. I like that moment. But we really do need to get to a moment where Trump go ahead and issues instructions to his people to start the peaceful transition of power, because you can't run around here and say you love America, love America, love America, but you would put her and her people in danger because you are butthurt over the election. Those two things just don't add up. You can instruct your people to move forward in the peaceful transition of power while still fighting, and I'm doing air quotes for the people that are listening on the podcast, while still fighting the election results and challenging them in court. Those two things literally could happen at the same time, right? No one's stopping those two things from happening. But as we see today, Trump is withdrawing some lawsuits that they filed because they keep losing and because they are frivolous. So not only are you not winning in court, you are withdrawing lawsuits yourself, but you are disrupting and not allowing the peaceful transition of power, which is going to do a detriment to America, because when we had everyone remembers the 9/11 attack. When we had the 9/11 commission, one of the things that the commission found looking back was that there was not this seamless transition of power. And so that is how, not to say that there was chaos with the transition, but there wasn't this seamless, this working together, if you will, transition of power between Clinton and Bush that allowed our enemies to slither in the cracks and test us that they did. We saw what happened, and we've seen the consequences to that as well, as far as the wars that we have engaged in. And so based upon that commission's findings, we know that the current president is putting us in danger, because he will not begin the peaceful transition of power to the president-elect. You cannot claim you love America all day long and you put her in jeopardy. Say what it is. You are butthurt that you did not win, and so you are trying to retain power or trying to cause chaos and rile up your base so they continue to give money to your PAC, which you're really fooling them on. We talked about this before. I don't think I did it on a debrief. I think I did it on the Instagram and TikTok 1 minute video. But we talked about the money that he's raising, the emails, where majority of the money that people are giving to recount the vote, again, podcast people, I'm doing air quotes with recount the vote, is not even going to the recount the vote effort. It's going to his pocket, into the RNC. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. We got a super comment here from Allie Get Real. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for the super comment. And you said we need to start calling our senators to encourage the transition. Call and tweet them like crazy. You ain't lying, niece. You ain't lying. If you can definitely Google your senator, Google your congressperson, and call them. That's what they're there for. They work for us. Our tax dollars pay them. So call them, tweet them, and tell them you demand that they stand up for the oath that they took. They didn't take an oath to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is but a man, right? They love to talk about, and let me not say they, because it pits they against us. Some politicians love to talk about how they love the Constitution. Well, you took an oath to that Constitution, but you abdicate and you capitulate your power that Constitution gives you by being an elected official, that the people put you there, and you're bowing down to this man and allowing him to destroy democracy and allowing him to put us in a dangerous situation. Another super comment, Bria Black, and he's out golfing. Need I say anything else? Yeah, he's still golfing. I don't even want to touch that. He's still golfing. Another thing that President-elect Biden said at the press conference was that Americans may very well continue to die if Trump and the administration, or Trump does not allow his administration to transfer power peacefully, specifically around COVID. There has not been a meeting of the minds with the current COVID task force and the COVID team that President-elect Joe Biden and VP-elect Kamala Harris are putting together. That's crazy. That is literally crazy, because what we need, Tony Fauci has come out and said that, and it doesn't take, even though Tony Fauci is a doctor, it doesn't take a doctor to figure this stuff out. We need the current people working on the COVID problem, whether it's good or bad or being stifled or not, but we need those current people that are working on that problem to talk to the incoming people so that the transition can be seamless. Again, you cannot claim to love America and its people, and you do things that we all know by common sense would harm us. We all know that. We are not, and I'm jumping ahead of myself in my notes. I got notes. I'm jumping ahead of myself in my notes, but we have Moderna come out today and say that they have a vaccine ready, right? Well, though we got the Moderna vaccine, we got the Pfizer vaccine, and y'all already know how I feel about the vaccine, baby. I'm gonna need to see how that thing do in a couple injections and other folks before I just go out there and jump. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't care nothing about this Operation Warp Speed, baby. I will wear this mask until 2022. I don't have a problem with it. I'm gonna need to see how that vaccine play, and that's whole period. Now that's for me. Y'all do what y'all want. I'm talking about me. But if that's the case, and if people are going to take this vaccine, right? We have two companies right now that are saying their vaccines are at least 90% effective, right? Right now, under the current administration. I am more than sure that the COVID task force under the current Trump administration is talking to these companies. We need that team to be talking to the Biden team because they will be the incoming team. You want this to be seamless. Dr. Tony Fauci said today, the virus is not going to stop just because the transition is not going forward. The virus is going to do what it's going to do. And we've been saying that the virus is going to do what it's going to do. It don't care if we black, white, even though, this virus is disproportionately affecting black, Hispanic people. I think I saw a stat in Chicago, like 30% of the Hispanic or Latino population is infected. But you consider that these people groups have underlying conditions. That's why this virus is exacerbating those conditions. But the virus does not care whether you white, black, Republican, Democrat. It doesn't matter. The virus is gonna virus, right? So whether the transition is seamless or not, the virus will still virus. It is incumbent upon our leaders, the people that stood up and said they wanted to be in leadership. I don't care who it is, the people that stood up and said they wanted to be in leadership, and for we the people to elect them. And I say elect them at large, even though I know I didn't vote for Trump, but he won, right? So we the people still elected him. It is your responsibility to ensure as much as possible that the people are safe. And a safe way, even if you wanted to contest, again, the results of the election, is to let those teams, your COVID team, meet with Joe Biden's COVID team. Because not even to say you don't know how this is going to turn out. We know how it's going to turn out. Joe Biden will be president. But I'm just saying for the sake of the argument, that is what you should be doing. We have another super comment from Chrissy C9504. You did it there. 40-60 split until 5K. I'm in DE. My husband and I have a relationship with our officials doing advocacy. Tell your out of state friends. Okay, I don't know what you mean by the 40-60 split, but I'm guessing you're jumping on the fact that you talk to your elected representation, and we need to see more of it. We love to see it. Definitely. Let them know they need to stand up. Start the peaceful transition of power. Period, Pooh. Okay, let's move on. So I did skip ahead because I started talking about Moderna, but I'm gonna back up a little bit in my notes. And what I'm gonna talk about is with this peaceful, what we want is a peaceful transition of power, with Trump continuing to drop his lawsuits. Something interesting happened in Georgia today, which I was like, wait, what happened? So Georgia has a Republican Secretary of State. Again, Republican Secretary of State. And he came out and said that Republicans are trying to undermine the legitimacy of the state's election, to swing the results to President Trump. Now, I about clutched my non-existent pearls. I said, now, wait. Not a Republican calling out a Republican, baby. We hadn't seen that in 4 years, because all they do is, capitulate and just go with the disastrous flow. But what the Republican state of Georgia is saying, no, ma'am, Pam, they are trying to undermine the election. He probably came out and said that because the incumbent senators, incumbent meaning the two senators that already occupied the seat, are both Republican. They are headed to a runoff, which we've been talking about in January. They recently came out like last week and called for the Republican Secretary of State to resign, saying that he should have called the race. And I did a video on Instagram and I was like, so y'all mad at him because he won't chief y'all? Like, votes were still being counted. Like, how y'all want the man to resign because he won't cheat for you? Well, he came out today. Today on this day, okay, on this land, okay, and said that Republicans are trying to undermine the legitimacy of the state's election to swing the results to President Trump. That's a bold statement for a Republican Secretary of State to make. That's a very bold statement. I had by clutched all my non-existent pearls. I said, now what? Now, the other interesting thing that happened in Georgia that made me clutch my pearls as well, and I say, now what is happening down in Georgia? A county called Floyd County in Georgia actually found 2,600 votes that had not been counted in the original vote. Now, remember last we talked, Joe Biden was up 14,000 votes. So they found 2,600 votes, 2,600 votes in Floyd County. Now, what? Now, this is an issue. That's a real issue. Now, granted, no matter which way these votes fall, like let's say all 2,600 go to Trump, it still wouldn't change the election results. But the fact that there are 2,600 ballots that y'all missed and you only found because there is a hand recount suggests there is a problem in this county. No other county is going through this. Excuse me. No other county is having that issue. So we can't say that this is a massive thing. Again, put things into context, because some people will take one thing and blanket the whole country with voter fraud. But if somebody needs to go find out what's happening in Floyd County, because it makes no sense that y'all missed 2,600 votes in the original count. So that is something that will be looked at, and I'm pretty sure that is something that will come up in the coming days that people will have issues with. I have an issue with it. Even if all 26 are for Trump, that's a problem. That's a real problem. Like that's a real problem. But all in all, it still looks like Joe Biden is going to win the state of Georgia. As I said earlier, and as we know, there will be a runoff because the two if I'm remembering correctly, per Georgia state law, a candidate has to get over 50%, and neither incumbent meaning already occupied the seat, both Republicans, did not get over 50%. So they both have to go to a runoff for their seat. Now, while Georgia, again, is going to be so detrimental because Georgia is going to determine the balance of power in the Senate. If the Democrats pick up both seats, then we're looking at a tie, and the vice president, who is the president of the Senate, right? Remember civics class, the vice president, which is Kamala Harris, would then be the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. If the Republicans maintain those seats, that means we got Mitch McConnell as the Senate Majority Leader again. We got Mitch. And I'm going to just leave it at that because I don't feel like going in on Mitch today. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to just give the news, because I could talk about Mitch McConnell all day long, but I don't feel like talking about Mitch McConnell tonight. Okay. So that's what's happening in Georgia. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. All the while, COVID cases are rising in Georgia, as they are in basically all across the land. All across the land. Definitely wear your mask. If you saw my photo earlier on Instagram, if you haven't, check it out. Follow me at the Q with Q on Instagram. I like I said, I came to Cabo, baby. I was booted up. I had my mask. I didn't post the picture with my face shield. I had my mask, my gloves, my face shield. I had an eye cap. I had my headphones in, baby. Wasn't no virus gonna get up in here nowhere. Okay, and that was on period. But COVID cases are on the rise in Georgia and everywhere else. And interestingly enough, or not even interestingly enough, but we're starting to see elected officials reinstate lockdown orders. I've said this before, and I want to say it again if you missed it. We have a social contract, right? We elect leaders to make decisions for our safety and prosperity, right? For the most part, at large. And so if we, the public, again, I wear my mask, but we, the public, are failing. So we, the public, including myself in that, are not holding up our end of the deal in the social contract regarding public safety, then it is our elected officials' duty to ensure public safety. And so these lockdowns are not I understand economics. I understand the economy. I understand businesses are suffering. Somebody needs to go holler at Mitch McConnell and pass another stimulus check to get to them businesses, okay? Because if everybody start dying from corona, they can't go to the business anyway. But again, hold on, let me get off Mitch. I said I wasn't going to talk about Mitch. But I don't view this as something being done to us. We, the public, are not living up to our end of the social contract. And so the elected officials are this is what they're supposed to do. So what we have now is a situation where Big Gretch, we call her Big Gretch, Gretchen Whitmore. If Gretchen Whitmore ever sees this, or somebody out there in Michigan, tell her Big Gretch is a term of endearment. Baby, black folks then deemed her Big Gretch. That means we rock with her like that. You heard that accent come out, we rock with her like that. But Gretchen Whitmore, if you know that, Gretchen Whitmore, the governor, she is imposing new limitations as COVID rises in the state. And what is so disastrous is we already know that there was a plot on the governor's life. let's call a thing a thing. For a while, we kept saying they planned on kidnapping her. They planned on kidnapping her, trying her, and murdering her. And that's just on period. Like the FBI came out and said that they had planned on murdering cops that would respond to the 911 to go get her, right? So if y'all was gonna kill the cops, you for sure was probably gonna try to kill Gretchen Whitmore. Furthermore, I'm still waiting on energy from Blue Lives Matter folks. I've seen no energy. I've seen no buck, no nuck if you buck from Blue Lives Matter people towards the white men who plotted to kidnap a governor and kill police. Kill police. Even if you should care about them trying to kidnap and kill the governor, but even if you don't, they were plotting to kill police. I ain't heard no energy. I ain't seen no smoke. But you got black and brown people marching in the street for justice, equality, and equity, and you got all the smoke for us. When we ain't, all we asking for is to be treated as the same. And you all got all the energy, but you have no energy for those 13 white men that were arrested who planned on killing police that were going to respond to a kidnapping of a sitting governor. I'ma just put that right there and let you all marinate on that one. So what's so disastrous is we know that President Trump has a doctor in the White House who is a radiologist, and no disrespect to radiologists, but radiologists are not epidemiologists. They are not experts in pandemic response. They are not experts in public health. And so Dr. Scott Atlas, who some might say has been at great odds with not the real doctors, that's not right, with the doctors who have the expertise in this field in that White House, has come out and said that people should rise up in Michigan. Rise up based on these new limitations that Big Gretch are putting in. Now, we just had a plot to kidnap and kill this woman. And you being a doctor who we would assume is educated, right? Because you had to get a 4-year undergrad, and then you had to at least do 4 years of medical school. You got what, I don't know if you call it internship no more, or then it just goes directly into residency before you become a full-fledged doctor. I stopped watching Grey's Anatomy a long time. I hadn't got updated. But you are a doctor. You took an oath to do no harm, and you go out there and you say that people should rise up. The same type of language that President Trump was touting or saying prior to the plot to kidnap her. The same type of language of sorts, right, that those people that wanted to kidnap her were being activated by. And you go out there with your good doctor self and say these things. I don't even have words anymore. Like, I don't know. You know, we have the freedom of speech in this country. We do. And so sometimes it's hard balancing people's freedom of speech, I'm doing air quotes for the podcast, freedom of speech, with dangerous language that should low-key be criminal, right? Like, you can't go in a movie theater and yell fire. You can't get on a plane and yell bomb, and and those things are not there. And so for you to be a doctor and to go out and say to rise up after there has been a plot on this woman's life, it's just, I don't even have the word anymore. I don't even have the word. I'm so ready for these people to get out of office. I'm so ready for this nightmare to end, because it is dangerous. It is irresponsible. I don't know what type of review board they got down at the medical board, but they need to review your license, okay? Because this is just outrageous. This makes no sense. We have a super comment that's been sitting here for a while. I got worked up. After working the election, though, I can see how they were missing it and should not have taken this long, to find them given the reconciliation process. I'm sorry, I should have read that earlier. That is in response to the comments or the story I was giving you about the 2,600 ballots missing that they just found in Floyd County in Georgia. I should have read that earlier, but we do have another super comment from Leticia Kamak. This is news I trust. Can't wait for the book club conversation. Oh, thank you so much. Let me plug that real quick since you said it. Our book club, sorry, it's actually closed. Hold on, I got the book right here. I'm actually going to be reading it while I'm here in Cabo. For those on the podcast, we are reading How to Be Anti-Racist. I will be reading it here. I haven't opened it yet, but I plan to start either late tonight or tomorrow. I'll be reading it while I'm here in Cabo on the beach. You know, I got a whole vibe that's going. That registration has closed for this month. That is going to be November's book of the month, book for the book club. In December, we are going to be reading, I haven't put the publication out or publicized it. We will be reading President Barack Obama's memoir that just, I think it releases tomorrow. So in December, keep your eye out for that. If you want to sign up for that book club, we'll be reading that. We meet via Zoom because everybody's everywhere. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited for the book club too. How to Be Anti-Racist. I think it's going to be a really good read and really good discussion. Let's see here. I think I saw one more super chat. Here's one more from Jacquinette Jackie, and then I'll move on to my next story. All right, Q, pour the tea, hun. That's some good stuff. That's not Lipton. That's that good Earl Grey stuff. Oh, okay, that was just a compliment. Okay, thank you, sis. Thank you, Jacquinette, for the super comment. Again, you all watching on YouTube, you can give a super chat or a super comment. If you do that, it'll get posted on the screen here. Also scrolling across the screen is my Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and my Zelle. That affords me the opportunity to continue to do this full time. This is literally my job, finding the stories, bringing it to you, breaking it down so you know what it is, okay? For those of you on the podcast, I will put all that information if you wanted to contribute in the show notes. So let's get back to this. So yeah, somebody needs to, the medical board or somebody needs to review Dr. Scott Atlas because that is absolutely ridiculous. And we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Just a quick update that the Moderna vaccine has, per their information, right, is 94.5% effective for COVID-19. We talked a little bit about vaccines earlier. I told you I skipped down in my notes, but I want to make sure I talk about this so that you know. Now, this is the second vaccine that we've had in America that, is proving to be over 90% effective. The thing about this Moderna vaccine, versus the Pfizer vaccine that we learned about either last week or week before last, my weeks are running together, is the Pfizer vaccine needed to be stored at like ridiculously low freezing temperatures. Moderna is saying theirs does not. It doesn't need to be stored in temperatures like that, which means it might be more easily accessible to distribute. So that is something that they are looking at right now. Again, I'm going to be waiting for those things to do a few cycles, if you will, before I just inject that in me. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I have no problem with wearing this mask until 2022. I don't have not one problem with it. I will keep wearing the mask. Okay. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Thank you so much for, I can't tell if it's a super comment or a super sticker, Sadie 1023. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. But that is what Moderna is saying, that they can do this. This is going to take so much energy because both of these vaccines, I believe, need 2 doses. And so we have millions upon millions upon millions of people in this country. And so it will be a difficult task to vaccinate everyone. And we'll just see how it goes, y'all. But make sure you wear your mask. Please wear your mask. Social distance if you can. Wash your hands if you can. But the mask. It's simple. It's easy. It's simple and it's easy. And we've been doing this for 8 to 9 months. And we know that the mask can help us reduce the spread. It really makes no sense that our country is literally back on fire with COVID. It is actually quite insane when you think about the fact that we have been going through this for 9-10 months. And our rates are going back through the roof because people simply refuse to put this mask on or to put it on and keep it on. Again, not like this, under your nose and not on your chin. All the way on. All the way on. It's simple. So thank you all so much for tuning in today to our political briefing, our daily political briefing. I will be back tomorrow. We'll probably do it at the same time. So definitely keep a lookout on that. My hopes is to solidify a time and we will do it at the same time every night. But since it's still so new, just kind of testing it out, seeing what's going on. Somebody just said, I saw that Thanksgiving, definitely, if y'all can, I understand we want to gather. I understand that. Me and my family, we've actually canceled Thanksgiving, seeing as how I'm in Cabo. I already told them when I come back home, I'm a quarantine because I've, even though I took the precautions when I got on the plane, I was, again, check me out on YouTube at the Cuba Q. I was souped up. I was wrapped up. I'm still going to go home and, not be around my people because my mom has an underlying condition. My grandmother has several underlying conditions. My brother's in and out of the house at my family's home. So I'm going to just move on over here, sit down for a little bit, make sure I don't have anything in my own domain, and then go from there. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow, probably the same time, to give you your daily update of what's going on. Y'all have been the best. Y'all always rock with me and always support me. And I just love it. And yeah, man, y'all have a good night.